What is up everyone, this is Jinhao and you are watching the very first video after I have decided to repurpose my YouTube channel. So for now, this is going to be a platform whereby I share my personal opinions and experience on my journey, specifically things that are directly or indirectly related to trading, investing, and personal finance. So if you're interested in these things, do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell icon. In this video, I'm going to share with you, as a position trader or trend follower, what I am aiming in the stock market for this month, which is April 2021. But before we proceed further, let's talk about the disclaimer. I'm not a licensed financial advisor and I am not licensed to give you any financial advice. Whatever I share in this video are solely based on my very personal opinion and experience. Stocks and securities mentioned in this video are solely for educational purposes only, and there are no buy or sell solicitations. Specifically to this kind of videos, I am sharing things and making commentaries based on the perspective of a trend follower or a position trader. So you may or may not be a position trader, so take my words as a reference or a second opinion instead of an advice. So now let's move on. For the past 2 months, the US stock market was a little bit different compared to what we have experienced for quite a while. Very often, we see that Nasdaq is leading the market if we compare to the S&P 500 and also the Dow. Let me give you a few examples. We all know that last year we have a market crash starting somewhere towards the end of February, and the market basically bottomed out during the end of March. After that, Nasdaq erased the loss and broke new high on the second week of June, whereby the S&P 500 only managed to break new high on somewhere in the mid-August. In case you are wondering when the Dow managed to break a new high after the crash, it was November 9, which is after the US election. Let me give you another example. On June 2020, the market experienced two pullbacks. If we look at the S&P 500, both the pullbacks retraced to the midterm average, whereas the Nasdaq only retraced to the short-term average and kept breaking new all-time highs after that. Another similar example would be the pullback during the end of January this year, whereby the S&P 500 retraced to the midterm average or support, if you will, and as for Nasdaq, it retraced back to the short-term average only. This has been the case quite frequently, not only the last year and early this year. This is because the technology sector has been really strong for quite a number of years, and we all know that Nasdaq consists of a lot of technology companies and giants, including the familiar names like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, aka Google, Tesla, Facebook, Netflix, and so on. Honestly speaking, the technology sector has been the sector whereby I made most of my profits during my journey, the entire journey in the stock market, be it in US technology stocks or Malaysia technology stocks. However, recently the case is a little bit different. The US major market indices peaked on February 16 and started entering into a correction mode. The market started to turn up during the second week of March. If we measured from the top to the bottom of this correction, Nasdaq has fallen by 12.5%, whereas the S&P 500 and Dow had fallen by only 5.8% and 4.6% respectively. From here, we can arguably say that the correction on the Nasdaq is generally at least 2 times more substantial than the overall US market. If you're in the market during this period of time, you definitely can feel that the technology sector was taking a huge hit and a lot of technology stocks are having a hard time. Things don't end here. The market started to move up starting from the second week of March. The S&P 500 broke a new historical high during the mid of the month before it started another pullback. However, the Nasdaq did not. In fact, when we look at the chart during that time, S&P 500 had higher highs and higher lows, but the Nasdaq was forming a lower high and a lower low. During this correction, the Dow was the strongest, surprisingly, breaking a new high on March 8 as if the market never suffered any correction. So if we combine all the information here, we can say that the technology sector is the weakest for now, as in it is weaker than the market in general if we compare it with the S&P 500. With the Dow moving faster than the S&P 500, which is quite rare, it may be suggesting that the traditional sectors are moving a little bit faster than usual because the Dow consists of more companies that are in quote-unquote traditional business, except for the few tech giants. Stocks like Caterpillar, Home Depot, American Express, Goldman Sachs, Disney, and even Boeing were doing really well last month. And if we look at some of these stocks and their sectors, American Express and Goldman Sachs are in the financial sector. So if we look into some of the stocks within these sectors, stocks like Citigroup, LE Financials, and Bank of America, they're actually trending up as well. And if we look into Disney and Boeing, they are in the entertainment and aviation industry. Some people say they are related to tourism industry, which I fully agree. Stocks prices of airline companies were going up for a while, and one of my favorite stocks last month was Expedia, which is a tourism-related stock, basically a company that provides travel services. Another sector that is related to tourism is hospitality. Basically, when you search for those listed hospitality stocks in the US, they have been gaining some momentum. This video is supposed to be what I'm aiming for this month, but it is essential for me to mention what was doing well last month because of a few reasons. The first reason, what I'm aiming may or may not be happening. If it does not happen, my primary focus would still be on those sectors and stocks that I mentioned just now. Second, those trends might still continue, and I do still suggest you to keep an eye on those sectors or stocks. For trend followers like me, we believe that trend has higher probability to continue rather than reverse. So if the price is in an uptrend, it is still more likely to go up rather than reverses. Keep that in mind unless you are not a trend follower or you don't follow trends at all. So what am I aiming in the stock market for this month? Let's look at the chart of the Nasdaq. The market turned up recently and Nasdaq is forming a higher low, which is a good thing. The previous high was somewhere around 13,600. If it could break above this level, we will get a higher high on the Nasdaq, which is a fantastic first move that we have been looking for quite some time. And if this happens, we should be able to see some of the technology stocks regain their momentum. However, for me, that wouldn't be a place whereby I will enter the technology stocks because during that specific moment, the stop loss would be bigger than what I might prefer. Therefore, if the above were to happen, it acts as a trigger for me to seriously look for some great candidates and enter when I see any setup or patterns that favor me in that sector. To put things into the simplest form, I'm aiming to slowly reposition into the technology sector if the trend were to re-establish. Of course, we need to pick the technology stocks that are stronger among the sector. And actually right now, we have already started to see some technology stocks that are recovered and created new highs. Just to name a few, Applied Materials, SML, Texas Instruments, and ON Semiconductor or ON Semiconductor. And they are all happened to be in the same category, which is the semiconductor business. This subsector is going to be our primary focus within the technology sector. However, as mentioned earlier, if the technology sector does not re-establish the trend, my primary focus would still be in the stocks and sectors that are currently trending upward. So that will be all for this video. I will keep you updated whenever there is an update or I have some new opinions about the market. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you do not like this video, feel free to hit the dislike button twice. May the market be with us and see you in the next video.